At 5:29 a.m. on July 16, 1945, the United States tested the world's first atomic bomb in the state of New Mexico. Less than a month later, it dropped one on Hiroshima and another on Nagasaki, the first and only use of nuclear weapons in combat, ending World War II, the bloodiest war in history. The bombs killed as many as 226,000 people in Imperial Japan, but they were not the first victims of a nuclear age. People living near Ground Zero of the first test in New Mexico were also affected.
And I asked him, I can remember asking him, Dad, what happened? Did the sun blow up? Well, it was so bright you couldn't see anything. And after, I guess, 10 or 15 minutes, it just started going away, and it just turned red, and then it went away. And then days later, all this ash started falling out. But yeah, I couldn't figure out what had happened, and nobody else did because they did not tell us anything.
Who gave them the power to destroy themselves?
70 years later, the Trinity Test is back on everyone's minds. Christopher Nolan's biopic Oppenheimer, which details the development of the first three bombs and their creator, physicist Robert Oppenheimer, is expected to sweep this year's Oscars. It's a far cry from 1945, when the atomic bomb, codenamed the Manhattan Project, was the United States' best-kept secret.
And I know days later my dad asked somebody about it, and all we ever got was that the ammunition dump blowed up. That's all they ever told us.
The Burris family was living 40 kilometers downwind from the blast, in a remote part of New Mexico the U.S. government considered uninhabited. In reality, thousands of people lived within 80 kilometers of the site. In the days after the test, torrential rains exposed their land, water supply, and food chain to radiation.
We didn't count for anything. In the big picture of things, we didn't count for anything. They thought we were expendable. They thought that it was no big deal if they detonated a bomb right in the middle of where we were living. And they have treated it like that ever since. They said at the time that the area was remote and uninhabited.
The U.S. went on to open-air test nearly 1,000 weapons in Nevada, Utah, and New Mexico. Many studies show it resulted in higher rates of cancer in people living there.
I've got skin cancers. You look right there behind my ear. Look right there. You see that stuff? That's what that is. That's what come from those bombs. And all down the side of my neck there.
Burris lost his brother to cancer. His sister had it, and his niece has it now. And as New Mexicans, they weren't covered under the U.S.'s Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, which only provided for people in Nevada, Utah, and Arizona. No New Mexican has received any compensation for the effects of the tests, and their story is left out of the film Oppenheimer.
Tens of millions of people are going to see this film. They could still add at the end of the film a panel acknowledging our sacrifice and suffering. But wouldn't it be remarkable if during the Academy Awards, even one of them, any one of them said, I want to acknowledge the sacrifice and the suffering of the people of New Mexico.
In the end, Oppenheimer is a 3-hour movie about a bomb with just one explosion. But that blast and its effects can be felt generations later in places like New Mexico. Devin, Tsai, and Bryn for TaiwanPlus.